Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and how you doing? It is a glorious day in the Valley of the Sun. The weather is broken. We are starting. This is our time of year. This is when it doesn't get over 100 degrees. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Everybody's outside. I hope you're all doing well. Fall is here. Crazy stuff happening all over the globe. I don't even know where to start today. There's so much ground. There's no way we're going to get to it all. We got Federal Reserve presidents resigning. Of course, they're resigning because they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. We got record housing prices. We have it's a carbon copy of the last housing crash. Yes, Arizona leading the way in the increase in housing costs. Consumer confidence is falling. Wells Fargo is getting fined again. Just tells you, man, it's good to be a banker, right? You can break any law you want, and all you got to do, you never have to admit you're wrong, pay a fine, and move on. As always, don't let me forget, the trade deficit almost set another record. Could you imagine if they could have unloaded all the ships? It's going to be a great show. I'm joined, like I always am, with my partner in crime, the man. Listen, he's got 47 jobs. And that's probably not exactly. I may be undercounting it a little bit, but he's the reason that the radio station is doing as well as it is. Jason Walker. Jason, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, Joe. Doing good. And I get some help around here, so I'm not the only one here. But I will say this, I organize as best I can.
Well, we got training on, right? We got people training. We're becoming a full-fledged big-time employer now in Colorado. So I got to tell you, Jason, the Dow's down almost 500 points. Gold was down like $25. It's well off of its lows. Silver is trying to turn around and go higher today. The 10-year note explodes to 1.6. Crude oil and natural gas are going crazy. Natural gas prices here in the United States skyrocketing. Brent crude, which is what I'll call European crude, cracked $80 a barrel. Goldman Sachs says, listen, crude oil is going to at least $90 a barrel. The container ships can't get unloaded. Now they're saying there's container ships out in China's ports. I mean, it's just a huge mess. And we've got Janet Yellen and Jay Powell testifying in front of Congress today.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what great lines of bovine specialities they're going to be weaving today, Jason.
Did you see what Joe Biden wants to do? He wants to fine truckers for not being at their appointed times at the docks on time. You know, if you're not there on time or you miss your appointment, they fine the trucker.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that sure makes you want to be a trucker, doesn't it?
This is the moron that we have in charge right now. What? Oh, I got it. You're right. The truck drivers, they don't want to make money, Jason.
Yeah.
No, we're just not going to show up, right? Oh, yeah, no. Please, give me a break. You know, and here's the thing. You know what? When we brought this up last week, the ports were like, yeah, listen, we're going to go 24/7. And they put out a big communique, like, look, see, we're doing something. Of course, we know it was the Biden administration. And then there was actually at least one person that was smart enough to go, well, wait a minute, who's paying for that? And the port authority was, well, it's not us. Oh. So, are you really open 24 hours a day? Well, no, but we would. If somebody will pay for it, we'll do it. And then somebody else asks, well, wait a minute, are there enough truckers? Well, we don't think so, but we wanted to put out but we put out this press release, Jason. See?
Yeah, and Joe, I was just talking to this guy Bob yesterday. He says a local trucking outfit here in Colorado, northern Colorado, just shut down for whatever reason. They just released all their truck drivers. They're not going to pay them. They're all done. They're done. This company went under. So you take one guess where all those truck drivers are going to go get employed.
Wow, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Listen, it is really, and we were saying it last. Something's changed, Jason. You can feel it in the air. A lot of things are just leaving you scratching your head. You know, what's so funny is my wife, she was grocery shopping yesterday. She comes in and she goes, you won't believe it. She goes, there's plenty of toilet paper. She goes, but they're out of everything else. She goes, I had to go to 2 stores because the ones where they were out of potato chips or they were out of dog food. And she goes, it's the weirdest thing happening out in these marketplaces. And then you think about all this trucking demand and how yet trucking companies go under.
Yep. Yeah, sounds big fish swallowing up small fish, Joe.
Well, you know, that's exactly it. And, of course, I'm sure they probably underbid jobs, right? That's probably what happened. Hey, they had no idea. Yeah, we'll pay, you know, this amount to deliver freight. Next thing you know, freight costs have tripled, and all of a sudden, well, we can't honor the contract.
It's
right?
It's the Rockefellers buying up all the oil barrels, even if they don't need them.
I'm going to tell you right now, small business owners are starting to figure it out. They're under attack. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe Jaquin, Jason Walker. I'm going to go really quickly here. We've been talking about, you know, the wolf guarding the hen house and the central bankers protecting not only themselves, their buddies, the banks. Nobody rips us off more than them. Listen, and we get ripped off every day. You know, you're sitting there, I'm telling you, my wife says there's no damn potato chips in the store. Forget about how much it cost. Right? And we talk about all the inflation. Listen, that's all the central bank. They did it all. They did all of that. And then they go out on TV anytime they get the opportunity and just tell bald-faced lies. Right? And then they get the cheerleading machine, CNBC and Fox, and tell you how great it is. Oh, isn't it great? Heck, we still got Fed governors out there as early as yesterday saying, well, I don't know if we got enough inflation. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. Better buckle it up. Listen, you got less than 6 weeks. As soon as the taper starts, the whole gold market and silver market is going to be beating a much different tune. But let me cover this. So last week we told you that several Fed governors, and I'm going to say this, the head of the central bank, Jerome Powell, have been trading on insider information. In other words, buying stocks of companies they knew they were getting bailed out. Yesterday, Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan announced he plans to retire on October 8th. Boy, that's quick. No Fed governor retires out of the blue. It says, "Yeah, by the way, I'm done in 2 weeks." But he wasn't alone. He wasn't alone, as the Boston Federal Reserve President Rosengren also announced, I'm retiring as well. As both of them have been, I would say, in the news because they were found to be trading stocks, Jason, that they knew were being bailed out by the Federal Reserve itself.
Yeah, these guys know what's going to happen, Joe. I remember 2019, before coronavirus, a whole bunch of CEOs of companies decided that was their time. You know, right before coronavirus.
Yes, and listen to this comment. Unfortunately, the recent focus on my financial disclosures risk becoming a distraction to the Federal Reserve's execution of that vital work. It's for that reason I've decided to depart and retire effective Friday, October 8th.
Oh, boy.
Actually, what it was is this would be, I'll just say, remember Martha Stewart?
Oh, yeah.
They sent her to prison.
This
is so much worse than that.
She wasn't in the big club, Joe.
Right. She got sent to prison because what I think was a friend of hers gave her a stock tip. Yeah. How about these guys? Hey, listen, we're going to be bailing you out, so don't worry. You're fine. We got you all covered. Oh, and by the way, get my broker on the phone and give me 5 million shares pronto.
Right. I mean, that's it, Joe. I'm going to retire because I'm too public with my stealing from you, so I'm going to go do it in private.
Yeah, right. I'm going to do it private.
It's not like they're going to stop doing it. I mean, it's not like they're not connected. These people are going to retire and then go make a bunch of money when they're
listen, they're not retired. First of all, retired's the wrong word. He's got to get hired. Right? Some hedge fund is going to hire them. Right? Some company on Wall Street because they know, hey, he's going to get insider information. Absolutely. How about this Wells Fargo? Now, of course, it's been argued by me, how are these guys still a bank? They've had this, got fined to get another $72.6 million to settle a government lawsuit accusing the bank of defrauding hundreds of its commercial customers. The bank admitted to overcharging 771 of its businesses on foreign exchange transactions. Now, this one only went on for 8 years, Jason. So, it's okay. And, to be fair, they stopped doing it in 2017. But nonetheless, they were overcharging, and these were businesses that had international. And so when they needed to convert back into dollars, apparently Wells Fargo was whacking them. But Wall Street on Parade wrote a great article that I'm going to share with you, and I've had this for a few days. But they were talking about Jay Powell's press conference after they announced they weren't raising rates and tapers going to start soon. So last Wednesday, Hannah Lang was the reporter that asked about Wells Fargo. Because remember, I told you Wells Fargo still hasn't paid back all the depositors that it ripped off way back. Remember when they were setting up all those fake accounts? And Wells Fargo was trying to tell the Fed, well, we just can't figure out who we owe the money to. Yeah, okay. And asked them about Wells Fargo. And Jay Powell, I didn't know this, but Jay Powell did it Joe Biden. Apparently he had a binder. And remember, this was on Zoom, but he had a binder. And he went to the Wells Fargo section and just read that, we're watching Wells Fargo closely. Senator Warren, I can't believe I actually agree with something Senator Warren has to say, but she's saying, hey, Wells Fargo should be broken up. And Powell said the following, that the Fed was closely monitoring the situation and said that they had imposed unprecedented asset caps, right, which meant that Wells Fargo can't get any bigger. But that's the big punishment. Oh, wait, you ripped off all of your customers and everything else and disgrace. Well, you can't get bigger until you fix it. But Wall Street on Parade said Wells Fargo is far from the worst player, Jason. Matter of fact, they went after the biggest U.S. bank in J.P. Morgan, saying that J.P. Morgan has already admitted to almost half a dozen felony counts that were brought by the U.S. Department of Justice, has been put on probation 3 times since 2014, and yet still continues to land in the press over all sorts of new alleged fraud. J.P. Morgan's rap sheet reads something from the Gambino crime family and says that nobody wants to talk about all the fraud that's happening within the banking industry. And isn't that really, when you think about a central bank, shouldn't that really be their job, protecting us from the banks, Jason?
Yeah, J.P. Morgan Chase has been convicted of 5 felonies. So, I mean, not too many guys like that walking the streets in America, you know.
Well, they're comparing, again, this is the Martins. They do great work. Wall Street on Parade. They're saying Wells Fargo is on the bunny hill of fraud compared to what J.P. Morgan
I agree.
has been doing.
Yeah, that's from what I've been looking at, Joe. It's the same.
They said that J.P. Morgan just this month settled tax fraud charges in France. A year ago, J.P. Morgan admitted to 2 felony counts brought by the Justice Department, one for rigging precious metals markets.
Yep.
Right.
They bought silver at the low, Joe. They bought silver at the low.
Of course they did. Of course, and they set up all the crashes. And the other for rigging the Treasury market. And guess what? They still get to do the Treasury auctions. I mean, these are things that if it was you and I, we would be going to prison. This is Bernie Madoff type stuff. But since it's a bank, oh, well, no, don't worry. It was just a little oversight, Jason. They didn't mean to rip us off and all of these things. And I only bring this up because you know your money's not safe. And you know it. You know this is a bubble. Interest rates have been 0 for I don't know how long now. Think about this. If you had a child that was born at the millennial, take my oldest. He was born in 1999. By the time he was able to read, interest rates have been pretty much 0. And he's graduating from college now. The Federal Reserve is going to be doing this great big thing of cutting back on buying Treasury bonds. They've got a balance sheet of $9 trillion. We've got a federal debt. We don't even know. By the way, today, Janet Yellen said if they don't raise the debt ceiling by the 18th of October, so let's call it 3 weeks, the U.S. will default. We'll be out of money, out of emergency measures, and they're going to do something. But we don't even know what the debt is right now. I know it's somewhere between 29 and $30 trillion. We have unprecedented government spending and giveaways. We've had people don't have to, you still don't have to pay your student loan yet. They still got a couple more months of that. People didn't have to pay their rent. Government handing out checks. I mean, all of these things creating the situation that is upon us, and now they're just sitting there and bald-faced lying about it. Why? Well, look at what they're allowed to get away with. How many felony convictions does it take for a bank to lose its charter? I tried to find one. The Federal Reserve hasn't taken a bank's charter because of felony convictions that I can even find in the last 20 years. And yet, over and over and over again. That's all seemingly the banks do, Jason.
Yeah, you can't convict or punish one bank for doing something the other banks are doing, or else you set a precedence for all of them. So you can't arrest or charge or punish any of them.
And this is, I'll liken it to this. Why your money isn't safe. Look at what happens every night at the Fed. Banks take all their extra deposit. They've got extra money. They don't even leave it in their own bank accounts. Now, granted, the Fed is paying interest on it, but that just happened. And the reason why they paid interest, it wasn't because of what you think. It was because short-term treasuries were going negative, which would have put the money markets. Remember the financial crisis and the money market? Oh, they broke the buck. That was going to happen again. But they're leaving almost $1.5 trillion of deposits at the Fed because they know if we don't open tomorrow, that money's going to be gone. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Gold's now only down 10. Gold was down 25, almost $30 earlier this morning. Right now, gold at 1740. Silver trying to sneak back into positive territory here at 2250. Wall Street a bad day today, down 475. The Nasdaq's down 400. The S&P down 84 and picking up steam. So those are at the lows of the day. News out of Europe. Natural gas prices shattering records. Russian supplies fell 57%. Natural gas futures here in America up double digits again for the second day in a row. Things really starting to spiral in that area. And same thing, crude oil, all of these things that we talk about with too much money printing coming home to roost and really going to have serious consequences, especially for utility bills. Utility bills this winter are going to be the highest we've seen, Jason, in a long time, possibly ever. Probably wouldn't be surprised if we have record utility bills coming to the United States. Because now all of a sudden the same problem that we were having in Europe, in Asia. Remember, China's announced that they're just shutting down their manufacturing cities. And this thing seems to be snowballing. We had the trade deficit out. Now remember, the trade deficit is a huge negative to GDP growth. August almost set the all-time record for a month. $87.6 billion. That's how much money left the United States just in trade. If you annualize that, Jason, that puts the trade deficit at over $1 trillion on an annualized rate. They said that the U.S. imports were $237 billion. Exports only $149 billion. And again, with inflation running, I expect this number to get a lot worse than that, which is also going to drive down this GDP problem as we're already showing signs of slowing. Now you've got import prices going through the roof, and now the trade deficit, Jason, getting out of hand.
Yeah, you're only about 2/3 of the way through the show, and I think you've completely buried the audience with all this information.
I know it's overload today.
Well, but let me say this, Joe. Let me say this.
To get it out.
Let me say this. One of the reasons we sell gold and silver is because it helps deal with these situations that are basically trying to steal from you. And there is another way out of it besides gold and silver, besides having hard assets to protect your savings. But that requires you to be in the big club, which is if you got piles of cash. All these banks are salivating. They're waiting to go in for the kill when this thing crashes, and they got piles and piles of cash, which they borrowed at near 0%. that's a way that inflation doesn't affect you. If you got, who cares if the price of things double, triple, quadruple, do a tenfold? If you borrow the money at near 0% interest and make your payment, what does it matter, right, Joe? And then when everything crashes and people are suffering and businesses are closing, and we take these large amounts of businesses and make it smaller and smaller and smaller to where there's just like the media companies. There's only 6 of them out there. They're going to buy it all up, pennies on the dollar, Joe. It's like the biggest buying opportunity that they're making for their friends in the big club, Joe. It's sickening when you look at it. Think about this. You said October 18th is when we hit the debt ceiling. 2 weeks before the midterms, it's completely controlled. It's completely controlled, and it's orchestrated down to the day, I think, Joe.
Oh, absolutely. This is all of this is orchestrated, but I want to, and I know it's hard because you're like, man, gold should be up like $50 today. Right? Even consumer confidence was crappy today, and it's not, but it will be. You got to understand, first of all, who controls the spot prices? Banks. Right? They want no, don't worry, don't. They want to pretend like it's not happening. It's all happening. Listen, the fact that they continue to say there's no bubble, there's no bubble, there's no bubble, tells you all you need to know, because we know there's a bubble. But here's something else that you won't hear. So yesterday, we had 2 debt auctions. In the morning, it was a 2-year note. In the afternoon, it was a 5-year note. What you won't hear is the 2-year debt auction, the one yesterday morning, was the worst. Here's the word they used: gruesome. It was the worst bid to cover for a U.S. debt auction ever, which means people don't want it. Now, the afternoon, the 5-year auction, well, that was better, but barely better. The bid to cover was only 2.37, which is, in old times, that would have been a terrible number. But in the last few years, that's average. But the fact of the matter is we're seeing all of these debt auctions, because remember, every day, and usually twice a day. Yesterday they auctioned well over $100 billion, and they're going to do it today and tomorrow and the next day. But all of these auctions, if you would take the auction levels today, first of all, the sizes are so immense now, but compare them to the internals from, heck, even 10 years ago.
Yep.
They're so much worse. And the reason they're worse is because the Fed is manipulating them. Are you kidding me? Wall Street's freaking out about a 10-year note yield of 1.6% when they know inflation. And really, now the 10-year note's come way down. So it was at 1.6 this morning. It's already down to 1.51, Jason, because Wall Street can't handle it.
Right. I agree with all of that. I mean, Joe, we're going to hit the break here in a minute, but I was looking at a graph last night, and I'll bring that on the next segment. It's really quick. But I think it shows what potentially is going to be an explosive upward movement in gold. Is it going to happen next week, next month, next year? But when it happens, Joe, I see a tremendous explosion in gold price. I mean, this is the time to buy it. And when it talks about the miners, Joe, I'm going to talk about this graph I saw. It's pretty amazing, Joe, because the guy that was doing the graph, he didn't understand it. He didn't understand his own graph. It was pretty interesting.
800-951-0592, and I got a great item today. I'm super excited about it, and I have 1,000 of them. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. And these things, first of all, they're super hard to get. They cost a fortune. But today, this is the cheapest price in 2 years. Because not quite 2 years, almost 2 years though. Because before when the mint closed in 2019 to start making the 2020 versions of silver and gold, then Corona started, and then you couldn't get them, and then I've seen places out there charging $300 plus for a 10th ounce. Today, 1 through 49. So a tenth of an ounce of gold, they're just that. Each coin is 1/10 of an ounce. They come in a tube. There's 50 in a tube. 1 through 49 at $240, which is if I'm right, that's a $20 savings from where our price was yesterday. If you buy 50 or more, so if you buy a roll or more, Jason, $235, which, if you ever get into a barter situation or something like that, on the gold side, this is where you want to be. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, 1 through 49 at $240, 50 or more, $235. 800-951-0592. Jason, take it away.
Yeah, that's great because that's a piece of gold that the person that can't come up with the 2,000 or the 1,000 to buy the half ounce or the 1 ounce $10 or $20 Liberty. This puts you in a place where you could buy gold at a more smaller budget. And I'll tell you right now, Joe, this graph won't surprise you at all, Joe, but it's good to put this stuff out there that gold hit its all-time highs in 2011, and you have mining stocks, gold mining stocks. There's people. So this show I was watching, it was Kitco, and he had the Asian guy with the cool hair, and he was talking to a stock guy. He was talking about gold mining and gold physical prices, and he was showing the case of how it's flagging, and that he's guaranteeing that the stock guy is guaranteeing gold at 2,600 next year, which I see that could be short of the number, but he was being conservative. And the guy, the Kitco guy's like, well, what about gold mining stocks? And he showed the graph, Joe, where it showed gold hitting all-time high in 2011 and showed the mining stocks going way up in 2011. And then it showed 2020 with coronavirus, and gold hit its all-time high last year. And it showed the mining stocks kind of going up. But that, the stock guy's like, well, I really wouldn't put my money in these stocks. It just looks really bad. It's just not really moving the way it seems like it should, and it's a bad pattern. I would not get involved in gold mining stocks. And as the conversation continued, he actually said this, Joe. He's like, I must be missing something, because he said it should be way higher. And I'm sitting there, Joe, almost screaming at the TV, because there's two things that make it obvious why the gold mining stocks. And this shows you how expensive physical gold's going to be next year and beyond. There's two things that keep the gold mining stocks not exploding in 2020 with the record gold price that we hit last year, in my mind. One being is they're not getting paid enough for the job they're doing. These mining companies are not getting paid fair price for the gold they're putting up. That would keep the mining stocks down because you're not profitable. Number two, there's no way they're pulling as much gold out of the ground for the amount of time and effort it takes to get it out of the ground versus 2011, Joe. There's just no way. That's a double-edged sword why gold mining stocks are just going to stay stagnant until gold price really takes off.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, too, now you got to think about all the cost. Right?
That's right.
Fuel cost.
Now the inflation,
for the vehicle. Listen, just parts. Parts are disappearing. If you got friends that are mechanics, talk to them. Ask them. They'll tell you. It's getting harder and harder to repair and find the parts to repair vehicles. And all of these things are just cascading upon each other, and everything is going to rise, and it has to rise significantly in order for things to be profitable. Otherwise, what you're going to have is they just shut down. And look at we'll use England as a great example. Hey, the cost of power got too expensive, so we shut the plant down because we lose less money keeping it closed than we would if we left it open.
And Joe, buying gold a year earlier than when it explodes upwards is better than buying it a day late. Because I'll tell you, next year, when these gold prices really go, we may see several days where it goes up $100 a day. I could see it as if it's right in front of me, Joe. Because when it goes, I think it's going to go very quick. I don't think it's going to be just a little slow uptick. I think when it goes, it's going to be fast.
When you look at when gold makes these moves, that really usually is how it is. They have a big surge, and it may not be, hey, one day it's up, $100, $200. But usually what we'll see is a surge of 30, 45 days where all of a sudden gold that moves $300, $400 and it doesn't even give you a chance to get in every day. Just another one, you keep waiting for a pullback that never comes. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, 1 through 49, 240, 50 or more, 235, 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Got two lines still open here. 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. I haven't seen a 10th ounce this inexpensive in a long time. Jason brought up a great point. This is the only gold, U.S. minted gold, that you can buy for less than $500 or $600. I mean, a $5 Liberty. What are we looking at here? $5 Liberties. You're looking $550, something like that.
Right.
So here are the 1/10 ounce. By the way, I have them on the online as well. So the sale price is online, but if you buy 50 or more, down to $235 at 800-951-0592.
Save $250 on the roll there, Joe. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's hard. Because let's face it, in gold, the margins are tight. They're small margins. So when you're saving $20 and $25, that's a huge savings. That doesn't happen very often at all. So
it's like the 50th one's free, Joe. That's basically what you're doing.
Yeah, the only difference is we're not like the other gold companies that overcharge you for the first 49 of them, so you can get the 50th one for free. But yes, so like a $5 lift, $575 today. So a great opportunity here in the 10th ounce market. 240, 1 through 49 at 240. You buy 50 or more. If you bought a roll of them, that would be, that can't be right. Let's see here. Yeah, $11,750 today at 800-951-0592. And again, something's changed. We're seeing it everywhere. How about this? Yesterday I said yesterday, maybe Goldman Sachs does listen. I don't know. Because I said yesterday, gosh, I got a hard time seeing that China's GDP could go negative. Goldman Sachs today said they've revised China's GDP lower to zero. To zero. So, listen, it's hard for me to put into words what that means. You have the world's fastest growing economy, the second largest in dollar terms, the largest economy in terms of stuff, going from essentially 6-7% GDP to zero.
It's kind of hard.
And Goldman listed all kinds of reasons. Says Jason, this energy storm that we're just starting to see is early here, and it's only going to get worse, and they expect China to take even more drastic measures than what they've already taken.
It also seems hard to grow when I see pictures of 15 buildings being blown up all at once. That doesn't seem like growth, Joe.
Right? Yeah. And you know, there's signs. They're out there everywhere of this huge bubble mania. Right? We have it here. I mean, home prices in Phoenix, before we go, because I want you to hear this. Up 32% year over year. Yeah, that's called the bubble, ladies and gentlemen. 800-951-0592, 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, 1 through 49 at $240, 50 or more at $235. God bless everybody.